Ram is shipping trucks from the factory right now with settings turned on that are burning through your gas tank every single mile. The worst part is your dealer knows about every one of them. They just have zero reason to tell you, so I will. These are 9 stupid Ram features that are killing your mileage. Number 1. Tow haul mode left on when the bed is empty. A guy brought his 2016 Ram 1500 Bighorn into my shop, swearing his Hemi was dying. He said his fuel economy dropped from 18 miles per gallon to 9 miles per gallon overnight. I looked at his Uconnect screen, and there it was. The tow haul indicator had been lit for 3 weeks. He had forgotten to turn it off after pulling his bass boat out of the lake. Tow haul locks out 8th gear completely, disables MDS cylinder deactivation, delays every upshift, and triggers aggressive engine braking downshifts on hills. Your Hemi normally cruises at around 1,600 revolutions per minute in 8th gear at 70 miles per hour. Tow haul bumps that to 2,200 revolutions per minute by forcing 7th gear. That is a massive jump in fuel burn for zero benefit when the bed is empty. The fix takes 1 second. Push the button on your gear shifter and make sure the light is off every time you get in the truck. But tow haul is the obvious one. The next setting tricks more Ram owners than anything else, and I personally think Ram should have named it differently. Number 2. Running 4-wheel drive auto on dry pavement. I see this constantly in the shop. Ram owners leave the transfer case in 4 auto all year because it feels like the safe choice. The truck will figure it out, right? That is not how it works. Ram uses a Borg-Warner transfer case with an electromagnetic clutch and a front axle disconnect system. In 2-wheel drive, the front axle shafts physically separate. The front drive shaft and front differential gears stop turning. That means 0 extra drag up front. Switch to 4 auto and the front axle reconnects immediately. Now your front drive shaft, front differential, and both front axle shafts are spinning every single mile, even on bone-dry asphalt, even when the system is not sending any power to the front wheels. That is parasitic drag eating your fuel for no reason. One owner on the Ram Diesel forum tracked it carefully. He got 22 miles per gallon in 2-wheel drive on a flat interstate, then it dropped to 20 miles per gallon in 4 auto, and it went right back up when he switched back. The EPA confirms the same thing. The Hemi 1500 gets 1 mile per gallon less in 4-wheel drive. On the 2500 or 3500, the gap is closer to 2 miles per gallon. 4 auto is for wet roads, gravel, and snow, not the Costco parking lot on a Tuesday afternoon. But there is something you probably already own on your Ram that might actually be making things worse, not better. Number 3. The tonneau cover and tailgate down myths. Consumer Reports ran a controlled fuel economy test on a Ram Vive 8 at 65 miles per hour, and the results contradict everything your buddy at the truck meet told you. Tailgate up with no cover returned 22.3 miles per gallon. Tailgate down dropped to 21.5. And what about the factory soft tonneau cover? It scored 21.4. The cover made it slightly worse. When your tailgate is closed, a pocket of still air forms inside the bed and smooths out airflow over the truck like an invisible ramp. Drop the tailgate and that bubble collapses, creating turbulence. Mythbusters confirmed this independently, and the tailgate down truck ran out of gas 30 miles earlier on the same route. That $400 tonneau cover everyone swears saved them 2 miles per gallon? The marketing traces back to a wind tunnel study at 85 miles per hour that measured air drag, not actual fuel burned at the pump. Real-world gains are 1/10 to 3/10 of a mile per gallon at best. A heavy hard shell cover weighing 70+ pounds probably wipes that out with added weight alone. I think tonneau covers are great for keeping your gear dry, but as a fuel saver, that was just good marketing. Now let me hit you with the one that costs the most money and gets the least attention. Number 4, aftermarket lift kits and oversized tires. I know a lot of you just spent $3,000 making your Ram look incredible, and you do not want to hear this, but your wallet needs the truth. A 2-inch leveling kit by itself costs about 1 mile per gallon on a Hemi 1500. One owner tracked the same Pennsylvania highway commute before and after and dropped from 20 to 19. Stack 35-inch mud terrain tires on top of that and it gets ugly. Heavy E rated off-road tires weigh about 75 pounds each. That is over 100 extra pounds of spinning weight compared to factory rubber. One 5th-gen Ram owner dropped from 19 to 15 after switching to 35s. And here is the sneaky part. Bigger tires, without reprogramming the speedometer, make the computer think you are covering fewer miles than you actually are. 35-inch tires throw the reading off by about 6%. Part of the loss you see on the dash is a math error, not all fuel penalty. A dealer reprogrammed for tire size will not give economy back, but at least your numbers will be honest. Worth it for the look. That is your call to make. But go in eyes open with your gas budget adjusted. The next two are where it gets really interesting, because these are factory systems Ram designed to save you gas that are actually doing the opposite under the right conditions. Number 5, MDS cylinder deactivation not actually working. MDS on the 5.7 Hemi shuts down 4 cylinders during light cruise to save fuel. That little green eco light on your dash means it is working. Sounds great on paper. The problem is that Ecolite barely stays on for a lot of owners. MDS gets killed silently by a long list of conditions. Tow haul mode shuts it off, which we already covered. Manually selecting a gear with the paddle buttons kills it too. Cold coolant, heavy AC load on a hot day, and low battery voltage all shut MDS off on their own, and any hill or grade change cycles it out within seconds. I worked on a Ram with 3.92 rear axle gears, and the owner said he could not keep MDS active above 40 miles per hour unless he was literally going downhill. That gear ratio is great for towing, but it puts too much load on the engine for MDS to kick in at highway speed. If you drive in hilly terrain, in hot weather, or you have aggressive rear gears, MDS is probably doing almost nothing for you. Ram advertises 5 to 20% savings, but that assumes flat highway at 60 miles per hour with no air conditioning. Nobody drives like that. The ECO light flickering on for 10 seconds every few minutes is not saving real money. But MDS is not the only factory system working against itself. There is another feature your Ram uses on every highway drive that is eating fuel without you noticing. Number 6, adaptive cruise control on the open road. I came across a study where researchers tracked over 600,000 miles of real driving data, and what they found surprised me. Adaptive cruise control actually burns about 2% more fuel than regular cruise control on the open highway. Your Ram's adaptive cruise is constantly adjusting. A car merges into your lane, and the system drops from 8th gear to 6th gear to open the gap. RPM spikes for a few seconds, then climbs back. A slower vehicle drifts near the sensor, and the system backs off throttle even though you were never going to hit them. Each correction costs fuel. On a Hemi getting 22 miles per gallon on the highway, 2% works out to almost half a mile per gallon. Over a year of commuting, that is real money at the pump. I switched to regular cruise control on my open highway drives and picked up about 1 to 2 miles per gallon. Owners on the Ram forums report the same across different model years. In heavy traffic with constant lane changes, adaptive cruise makes sense. On an empty highway with a clear road, switch to standard cruise and stop letting the truck overthink every car a quarter mile ahead. If you are getting value from this, tap subscribe so you catch the next video. I have a lot more Ram content on the way. Number 7, eTorque battery quietly dying on you. If your Ram 1500 is a 2019 or newer with the 5.7 Hemi, it probably came with eTorque. That is a 48-volt mild hybrid system with a small lithium battery and an electric motor bolted to the engine. It gives you a little extra boost when you accelerate and powers the auto start-stop at red lights. When eTorque is healthy, it works. Owners tracking fuel on the website Fuely show 1 to 2 miles per gallon, better than the same Hemi without the system. But the battery has a shelf life. In harsh climates, the lithium pack can degrade in 3 to 5 years. When it does, the system does not warn you. It just stops working with no warning. The auto start-stop feature quits engaging, and the electric boost during acceleration just vanishes. But the belt-driven motor is still bolted to the engine, and the belt is still spinning at every second the truck runs. That motor becomes dead weight dragging on the engine because the battery is too far gone to do anything useful. You will see a system warming message or the ESS icon with a slash through it. Past the 8-year, 80,000-mile warranty, a replacement battery runs around $2,500 at the dealer. Until you replace it, the dead system is costing you at least a mile per gallon, hauling 170 pounds of hardware doing nothing. I think Ram should have put a battery health gauge on the Uconnect screen. Instead, owners just wonder why their mileage got worse, and nobody connects it to the eTorque system slowly failing. But at least you can diagnose eTorque with a dash message. This next one gives you almost no warning at all. Number 8, active grille shutter failure. This one flies under the radar because hardly anyone knows the system exists. Your Ram has more hidden electronics behind the grille than a speed camera on the highway, and half of them are probably broken. On 5th generation Ram 1500 trucks, motorized shutters sit behind the front grille. At highway speed, they close to reduce air pushing through the engine bay, lowering drag. An active air dam underneath the bumper also drops down above 35 miles per hour to smooth airflow underneath. Together, these systems are worth 1 to 2 miles per gallon on the highway, but they fail constantly. The shutters corrode over time. Water gets into the air dam connector. The system throws a fault, but on many model years, it never triggers a check engine light. It just silently gives up, and now your grille is wide open permanently. Quick trick to check yours. With the truck off, turn the ignition to run without starting. Walk to the front and look through the grille. You should hear clicking and see the shutter vanes close, then open within a few seconds. If nothing moves, the system is dead, and you have been leaking fuel economy every highway mile. Stellantis extended the air dam warranty on certain 2019 trucks because failures were so common, so ask your dealer if your VIN is covered. And this next one is going to be controversial, because a lot of diesel guys are going to tell me I am wrong, but the numbers do not lie. Number 9. Cummins exhaust brake stuck on full. This one is for my diesel Ram owners with the 6.7 Cummins. Some Cummins guys treat the exhaust brake like a religion. I get it. But your fuel bill does not care about your beliefs. The exhaust brake uses the turbo to squeeze the exhaust and slow the truck on steep grades without riding the brakes. Lifesaver when you are pulling a heavy trailer down a mountain pass. But owners leave it set to full and drive around town like that permanently. On full mode, the exhaust brake eliminates coasting entirely. You are either on the throttle burning diesel, or the brake is actively slowing the truck down. There is no free rolling. Every time you lift off the gas, the truck slows hard instead of gliding. One Cummins forum owner tracked this over multiple tanks and measured 1.5 miles per gallon worse on full versus off. His dealer tech confirmed it. The fix is simple. Switch from full to auto for daily driving without a trailer. Auto still exercises the turbo vanes to prevent carbon buildup, but lets the truck coast normally. Save full for when you are actually towing heavy downhill. That is what it was designed for. Look, I'm not saying Ram engineers are idiots. These features all have a purpose, but Ram tuned everything for worst-case conditions, and they never told you what it costs when those conditions do not apply. Tow haul assumes you are pulling a trailer. 4. Auto assumes the road is slippery. Adaptive cruise assumes bumper-to-bumper traffic. The problem is all of that staying on during a sunny commute with nothing in the bed. Fix the top 4. Tow haul discipline, 2-wheel drive on dry roads, standard cruise on open highways, and keeping stock tire size. That alone gets you 4 to 6 miles per gallon back on a Hemi 1500 without spending $1. At 15,000 miles a year and $320 a gallon, that is roughly $700 back in your pocket annually. Now, if you want to actually claw back even more fuel economy on top of what we just covered, go watch my video on the best $50 fuel upgrades for Ram trucks with real tested results. Every mod in that video was tested back-to-back on actual Ram trucks, not just guesswork. Some of those cheap fixes beat out parts costing 10 times as much, and one of them took me 5 minutes to install in a parking lot. Go watch that one next.